I just want to say a thanks to Christopher Lee for his $5 Patreon subscription. If you would like to subscribe or follow me or just check out my Patreon, go to patreon.com/adsproductions. Also, if you'd like to email the show and have us read it out and talk about your comments, email the show at podcast@adsproductions.nz. Microsoft has made a product called... Have a guess what it's called. Without reading it on the screen. It's called Election Guard, and essentially it's a voting machine that they claim is designed to be safe from hackers.
Oh boy.
From their point of view, they're trying to say it's a device that's meant to be pointless for them to hack because it gives them no gain or sort of level up, I guess. So, in short, there is an app or a box that's kind of it has the Xbox style controller attached to it, and it's where basically you put all of your paper votes in there, I believe. Let me just see that. It's open source voting software that Microsoft announced in May. In the demo, voters make their choice by a touchscreen before printing out 2 copies. A voter is supposed to double check 1 copy before placing it in a ballot box to be counted by election workers. The other is a backed up record with a QR code the voter can use to check that the vote was counted after the polls close. So it's basically like you're adding
it. Printer.
Yeah, it's a printer, but it's recorded so it can't be tampered with it as well, because you're adding the physical printout style and human counting as well as a record with the QR code, which is...
Yeah, that's really good.
Is it not just so strange, though, how America are pretty much the only country in the world that feel it's necessary to add all these technologies with elections? Like everywhere else in the world, that's an actual proper democracy. I've kind of just said to themselves, pen and paper's great. We're just going to run our elections on pen and paper. It can't be hacked. We've done it for hundreds of years, and it works pretty well. You get almost 0% fraud. It's so negligent. But the US is always just pushing out this, computer election stuff, and it just makes no sense.
Why does
it is said
sense?
In the article. Oh, sorry, go on, Chris.
So what did you say, Adam?
Oh, what do you mean What do you mean it makes no sense?
Well, because the pen and paper just works for elections. It's just the most efficient way to do elections. Just you get pen and paper, you put a tick by who you want, or in our case, a cross. You stick it in a box. They put the boxes to a local centre. They count it all up. Perfect, job done. I don't know why you need to add a computer screen to it with a printer and the automatic counting. It just adds the ability for it to be hacked.
No, but that's exactly what it's. That's exactly what it's.
Scenario in this where it tries to stop it, it still can allow it to happen.
How so? This is the whole.
I'm not sure.
The whole point here is that they're trying to get away from like numbers being skewed. Yeah. So obviously they're going to do a final count, and they're also going to be able to see the actual amount that the voter printed. So that link from decision made on machine to then being counted is printed out so that it's not tampered with on the system. Even if it is tampered with in person, they have a log of how many people voted for what on the QR code. So it's like a backup, if that makes sense. So I don't understand.
Why would they not just do it on pen and paper then? I don't understand why they need technology to do this.
Because what's the paper alternative to this?
Well, I don't know what you mean by what's the paper alternative. We run elections now on pen and paper. There's no need to add technology to it.
Yeah, but there's no proof that the counting is correct.
No, we
counting correct is the fact that everyone who's kind of involved in the election process oversees it. So, you know that the count's been done correctly.
That's still not a guaranteed accuracy, though. Like the people overseeing it, there's not to say that something won't be missed or there isn't something going on in the background.
It
You
is
know,
though. It is though, because if you get so you have a local election centre and you have Blue Party and Red Party, and both of them have sent a representative to overwatch it. If, any point Blue Party thinks to themselves, I think the Red Party's trying to con us over here, the Blue Party will say it. This is the point. You get all the political parties send a representative to oversee the count. If anything goes wrong, like multiple parties are obviously going to mention up to say it's gone wrong. I just don't understand what's the point of bringing technology into this system when we already have a perfectly great voting system, a voting system that's never been majorly frauded before.
You keep saying we like it's being implemented in the UK when it's for the American market and the American voting system, which obviously, if you read the newspaper, their voting authenticity has been taken into question in the last couple of years. So
because they use computer voting when they should just be using pen and paper from the beginning.
Yeah, that's one example of it.
Every state which has had it in questions because they use computer voting. You never hear states of some of the northern states having the problem. It's because all the northern states still use paper voting. So the likes of Florida in the Al Gore Bush campaign, where they, it could have been conned, and it's because they had computers doing the voting.
Oh, look, Florida's the problem child of America, so we'll omit them from this. But I mean, do you think there's going to be similar problems then with a system like the one Microsoft is designing? Do you reckon it'll be the same shit, different day?
I'm not sure if there will be problems. I just don't see the necessity in it.
What, you think it still seems like dare I say it, a gimmick?
I don't think it's a gimmick. I just don't understand why you make something like this when we already have a perfect alternative.
Maybe it's. I mean,
yeah, but
from an American perspective, they've got a lot more people than us. I mean, paper votes are take a lot longer to count.
Well, we do our European elections on paper. There's more people in the Europe who vote in the European Union.
My question is though, if let's say this becomes a thing, and yet I understand that you don't see the importance of this when we've got a fully fledged paper system that we've been working through for years, and it's produced results that we needed, and it's got supervisors and people to review it to make sure it's not frauded in any way. I get that. However, if a system like this can be implemented to a point where people start to trust this technology, let's say you've got, yes, maybe for this particular use, having someone print out something, casting the vote via paper, and having a log, maybe this is a bridge to a technology that they actually need, compared to maybe not needed necessarily now, but proving the concept that you can actually securely register a digital vote. Yes, you'll have a physical vote, which we already have and we've been doing for ages, so why do we need the system? But you've also now started to slowly introduce the idea of a secondary backup vote, let's say, that could be referred to. I don't see what the confusion is there of why would we need this? When anything that can be introduced to make things more efficient, safer and trusted, surely is a good thing.
I wouldn't argue with that myself.
I'm curious to know your thought there, Chris.
I still think pen and paper is the best way to do it. Technology. I don't see how the system can guarantee anonymity. I think technology added to the election process just sours it.
Well, you reckon it's asking for trouble?
Yeah.
Yeah, but you can't. How can you have trouble? How can you have trouble with this? Because you're still casting the paper vote, going on the exact same way. You're just making sure that there is no room for disruption. Because even if the paper votes got hacked, then you got the backup to refer to see the accurate count. Let's say the system got hacked and they changed the number of the backup so it was 55 more in this direction. Then you could refer to the paper copy. So it's almost like having a referenceable Is that a word? No, it's not. It's almost having
having a backup of just a backup.
So
A contingency.
Yeah. So I would have thought you would have been. This would be like an add-on for the current way rather than the new technology kind of way. That's what it seems like to me. But I just don't quite understand where the skepticism is with this for you. That's all.
I mean, you pretty much said what I was going to say with more or less when you were talking about the cross between the paper and electronic vote. Oh God, I better not forget what I was about to say then. I was going to say, like, obviously, when it comes to elections being fixed and whatnot, obviously prevention's better than a cure. And even if this isn't necessarily the end all to all of the sort of the darker sides of things and the corruption that there may be, it at least gives us more chance of flagging those and taking appropriate action when it is detected. So I suppose in that sense it's more ignoring like how it works and like the features of it and how it looks, like just the core of it. You know, it is a tool more of a tool than a replacement, I'd like to think, you know.
Yeah, I agree.
And as long as they do it right, like, yeah, I think if it was, you know, I mean, the saying goes, don't put all your eggs in one basket. And if they did that and moved completely to this system, I'm sure we probably would see quite a lot of trouble at some point in time. Because you know, if someone's found a way to hack two-factor authentication, and I saw this the other day, which is a little bit not completely relevant to this, but computer viruses, when it comes to DNA scanners, you can actually they found a way to implant a virus within a line of DNA, so when the machine scanned it fucked the whole thing essentially. I mean, come on, if they can figure that out, I'm sure they can figure out a way to hack a system like this. So as a backup tool, great. As an outright replacement, probably not, because that's the thing with technology. I don't think there's many things out there where it's safe to say that it's completely unhackable. We said that about two-factor authentication, and look what happened there, you know?
Definitely.
Plus, it just sets a dangerous precedent. It gets rid of anonymity in voting, and that's the most important part about voting, is that no one knows who you vote for.
Yeah.
See, I'm with you there, though. I am with you there, to be honest.
Yeah, me too.
It puts everyone and everything that touches that machine to a value and to an ID, rather than put the X in the box and walk away, you know?
Yeah, that's the most important part about, you know, democracy only works and elections only work when you get a secret election. You know, how did the Nazis keep getting into power? Main reason was because they got rid of secret voting. You used to have to vote in front of a party official. You're not exactly going to go against the Nazi line if you've got a Nazi official watching over as you tick the box, are you? It's the same now with North Korea. North Korea has elections. How does the North Korean election work? You enter a room and you tell someone how you're going to vote. You're not very likely to walk into a room, are you, and tell a North Korean bureaucrat, oh yeah, I don't vote for the Communist Party this year.
Yeah, that's rough.
You know, the being able to vote and no one knowing how you vote is the key part of how our democracy works.
So is it perhaps worth saying that this your view on this technology is other than it taking away that anonymous aspect, in some if we stay on that topic though, to me that sounds quite dangerous. You know, I'd say there's, you know, now that you've brought up those examples, I'd say there's a lot more room for manipulation, in the sense that, you know, that anonymous aspect is virtually gone.
To be fair, sorry to interrupt.
Sorry, I was just saying, could coercion be a thing in something like this, or is it not going to be that detailed about who you are?
That's what I was going to say. So nowhere in this article does it say you have to put your name in it.
Okay.
So what happens if you can get into a room with an ID?
You do have to put your ID in it. Because a part of the system is that afterwards you can look your ID up online and it will confirm how you vote, which is how it gets rid of the anonymity of it. Because I could say to you, oh, in this election, I want you to vote for the blue party. And to make sure you do vote for the blue party, as soon as you get home, I'm going to have you log online and I'm going to check that you voted for the blue party.
Okay,
well,
fair enough.
Private modes
That's how the whole system gets ruined.
Let's see. So the senior cryptographer, who's Josh Benelo. I don't know if I've said that right, but so the election guard works for a process known as homomorphic encryption, and it does talk about the privacy of votes. I'm not sure if I'm looking at it myself. You're not on that same part as me. If you scroll down to how it works, I think it's about halfway down. There's some details about it. It says private votes make intimidation or bribery useless since you can confirm you voted a certain way. Microsoft's encryption also keeps the vote secret by converting choices into random lines of code until they're decrypted. So, although there is a risk of what your vote details being accessed, it is using homomorphic encryption. So it's they haven't just locked it away behind a password kind of thing.
No, but I definitely agree with what you're saying, Chris. As soon as you give someone a choice and have it be anonymous, they tend to vote exactly how they feel, and it's like a true representation of what the vote should be. But the moment you start kind of saying, what's your name, where do you live, and what's your cell phone number, and who are you voting for, and we're actually going to register that against your name, then
that is scary.
You'll quickly find that votes change a bit. However, though, what I'm also saying is, let's say worst case scenario, there's a country that's got completely kind of elections that just get absolutely riddled with corruption and the changing of numbers and things like that. Is it better to have a system that's anonymous but riggable, or one that marks everything down and records your vote to the user and have it not riggable? That was mainly a question for Chris, because I know he was...
The thing is, though, paper elections, the way we do it, aren't riggable because of how the whole system works, where every party's involved. It's just the system we've currently got is basically uncorruptible. It's been being done for centuries now. They've kind of got it down to a T. They know it's the best way to do it. They know it's the safest way to do it. The getting rid of the anonymous part just ruins how it works, because you're less likely to go against the government if your vote's not anonymous. The way we do it, where there's checks and balances, you have independent election commissioners, you have all parties who come together and oversee the vote. It's all done at a central location. You can go yourself just as a member of public and watch the vote being done, so you can make sure that your vote's being counted. The way we have the system now works perfectly, and I just don't understand why you'd want to change that. And there's no argument to, because you could say there's a higher population count for some countries, which mean you need to have the technology to make it more efficient, but they've also got more people, so they've got more people to vote. So it shouldn't take them any longer time-wise, because, surely have the same percentage of people counting the vote as what they have population-wise. Surely that's a percentage that correlates upwards. I don't understand why there needs to be any change to our current system, which is pretty much perfect at this point.
But you keep saying our system. This is for the US elections.
The US elections used to follow our system until they started doing computer voting. They used to do it the exact same way as the way we do it. I don't know why they've decided to change, but I think it's pretty easy to understand why they changed when you realise that all the states that have changed all happen to be of one party.
Interesting. Just trying to think here, do you see any positives with this, apart from the obvious?
No.
So you think it's not necessary, it's just going to cause anonymity to go out the window with voting, which is obviously not good for anyone. Okay, what would there be any improvements that you could suggest for this? Except smashing it with a brick.
Not really, because this is the problem that you get when you have technology for elections. You have to sacrifice one or two things. Okay, you either have the elections be anonymous, which means that the data can be hacked and there's no way for us to verify it, or you take away the anonymity and you can verify the election count.